Okay. So, have you guys been practicing the any of the lettering that we've done past 3 weeks?
Some of it, not all.
Some of it. Okay. No, so why I wanted to know is the sometimes with any of these specific things like the Gothic script or the open shaded, if you land up not practicing it, you just forget the basic technique.
Uh,
So it
we
is.
haven't done the open shaded, have we? We
We
did the
did
open.
it 2 weeks ago when I think you were missing that week.
Oh, okay.
But I have shared the video and we have done it in
Acha,
the
okay, I'll
past.
check that.
So it won't be
Okay.
not as if you want it's an easy one. But this whole practice thing needs, I guess, more serious attention. So you need to find a way to start doing some lettering or the other. Whether or not you have a lettering specific project, like you don't want to wait for maybe a travel to come about so that you write. What do you write? But then, in the meantime, how do you keep yourselves occupied doing lettering? So, I usually make uh, I jot down a lot of stuff, sometimes quotes, sometimes paragraphs, or sometimes poems, anything that I find inspiring. Because unfortunately, I don't get enough time to read as much time as I would like. So I have, in a way, just edited all the stuff that I want to read. So I pick up the gist of the matter and keep it in front of me. So if you can see over here on the wall, there are some post-its that I use. I might as well change my middle name to Post-it because of how much I use Post-its. Everything from recipes to these quotes to notes to what I'm going to do, my schedules, everything is on Post-its because I like that size. It's like, it doesn't ask too much of you. It's a very tiny space. How much time can you spend on filling in? But of course, because I have this affinity for letters, I'm not going to just jot down a note. That does not happen. So, I later on I'm going to show you how I jot down my recipes also on post-its. And someday I think I'm just going to have a book with recipes on post-its because that's somebody who has been accused of suffering from ADD. That's as much information I can focus on, and then that's it. If I don't get it within that much space, the information is lost on me. So, I'm going to show you how I do this and how you can practice lettering on all sorts of sheets of paper, starting from something like a post it. If you have any, bring that around. Or one of my favorites is all these used bags, these delivery bags. There are so many in the house, and I hate to just throw them out because I am almost 99% sure that they do not get recycled, and all of that just goes into some dump, and let's not go there. So what we can do is just cut up small squares about the size of post-its out of these bags. That way we limit the space that we have. You don't want to write on the whole bag because the moment you have too much space, you have too much pressure to fill up the space. This is not a pressure the bag puts or the lettering type puts. It is our own need. We feel, how can I leave so much space blank? So keep your space tiny. I am going to choose certain statements or quotes, or some humorous ideas which will fit within only that much because I'm going to make that and show you, and then you can make them with me. I'm not going to be using any of the text, maybe from the past. So if you've not done any text, you can easily substitute it for something simpler. But I do want to show you some application of the text that we've done in the past 3 weeks. Otherwise, what is the whole point? Okay, so first things first, we will take a quote that I have written yesterday and we are going to practice writing it. I'm going to just write this simple quote and I'm going to first get you to write it in a square format. We'll take about 5 minutes to do that. You don't have to make it absolutely perfect. You can just pencil it and we will just see how you are calculating space and creating compositions. Okay, so here's an interesting quote. This says, dig the well before you are thirsty. And this is a Chinese proverb. Okay, this is the least amount of composition that I can make. I cannot write sentences straight anymore. That's become my handicap. So, what I want you to do is try and figure out how you might write this statement elegantly that you would want to put up maybe somewhere or send it. And the reason I'm getting you to do this month or this week is because in April, like we are doing the Doodle a Day challenge, we are going to do a quote a day, which I would really love to call quotidian, which also means daily, but I don't think they come from the same word. Somebody can think of some interesting wordplay on the two, and I will make a nice graphic for it. So this is the space we have. No bigger than, well, a little smaller in fact than a post-it, but a square format. You're free to move the words around any way you want to, change sizes, orientation, style of writing, any of that. And this is to test your own idea of composition. So I'm not challenging you. I don't want you to think of this as I'm asking you to do something that you're unfamiliar with. But any learning is more impactful if you can quickly identify the need for information or learning and plug that gap. So, when you are writing or when you finish writing, you will have some questions. Do I write in a straight line or can I write in any form? Must I have a baseline or can I have words floating around? Should all the letters be the same size? Can I change the font? All of those are very valid questions. It's important for you or even me to actually encounter many questions when you are faced with a new task. So this experiment is almost like you would have a lab experiment in chemistry where you're given something to burn and then you have to answer all these questions that they give you before. Is it burning red, blue, yellow, whatever? You don't know it until you do that experiment. This is the experiment. So feel free, don't worry about perfection. Usually, we do not indulge in too much of composition at all. There's no need unless you have a layout design background where you might use any of these rules of composition. So, we are unfamiliar with a few concepts which I'm going to show you today. Okay, how's it going? I hope you all are not erasing and rewriting because that will take us long time. Okay, now before I see what you have done, I am going to show you what I have done. So I will be making that in the book. And while I'm making it, if you are observing, then there will be a few tips that you can pick for yourselves. I don't want to have to spell it out for you. Like, for example, I'm going to start you off with taking those tips with this one tip. I do not start the statement from the first word. So I want you to see how this proceeds. I'll give you the explanation after I have finished writing everything. Okay, this is my starting point. Okay. So, are there any tips that you have absorbed just from observation? Do you want to share them? And I'm not saying that you have to like what I have done. Huh? I'm not assuming that everybody is happy. That is not supposed to be the goal of the discussion. But
You
it's the
placed the R so that you could space the word C evenly. So you put the R in the, and your focus was on well and thirsty from the proverb. So I think you concentrated on, like, thirsty was the biggest word probably. So that was written first.
yes,
And then the rest of it, you did it that way so that you could get the spacing correct, is what I think.
yeah. So don't look at my motivations. I want you to see what you can pick up from this. The tips. I mean, those tips are for you um
Ah,
to see, because the thing is that I may have any motivation, and then trying to figure that out to write is there's a danger in that you might make the wrong assumption, but you have
ah,
seen the process, so
yeah.
you can pick up objectively and say, all right, if I do so
Yeah,
and
so
so
if
thing.
I would say, then I would say that what I have picked up from this is to focus on the words in the quote that are important, or
Okay,
to
yeah,
at least
see,
keep that in mind,
correct,
because that would be one way of doing it.
exactly right,
To
yes,
place more emphasis on those two words, or whatever other, what I would think would be the main words of the
correct,
quote.
correct, that's a great point.
Uh,
Anyone else?
So I observed somewhat what Alka mentioned, and also I observed on how you used, like in thirsty, I is small, H also started a bit lower than T. So, it made the word more, like funky and cool to look at. I mean, we can play with the heights. So
Right,
it's not supposed that you have to write everything in the same height and it
correct.
would look good.
Mm.
But even a bit up and down also made it look so nice.
Correct, absolutely. Okay, Susan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was saying, so I don't know whether this is something I have picked up along the way, but I usually look at a sentence. Now, just now when you said this exercise, do this exercise, I didn't do it right now, but the first was, what are my highlight words? And
Right.
usually the highlight words are action words, verbs, like verbs,
Okay, so you
actual
would have
verbs.
dig.
Yeah, like dig and thirsty. Dig and thirsty
Hmm.
were what stood out to me.
Hmm.
Of course, in your case, you highlighted dig, well, and thirsty. For me,
Hmm.
the first was dig before thirsty.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's what, now
Yeah.
that's the difference I would think between individuals.
Correct.
So for you, the way you've done it, I think this is perfect. This is really nice. Now that I see it, I also like it. But what I'm thinking is the highlight words should be such that even if I didn't read the other words, I got the crux.
Correct. Yeah, that's also a brilliant way of going about it. So this is the point. The point is that I guess the principle in both cases is the same. That you identify the words which are going to make the most impact and find a way to make those visible first. So this brings me to the to just a certain set of principles that you can keep in mind when you're doing lettering. This is like a distilled version of what we would do as layout designers. So I'm just going to list these out, and maybe I can demonstrate as well. So, few things that we might be exposed to because we all are working in a sense, in digital publishing of sorts by using all sorts of software. One is that when you are making a statement like that, you need to decide on alignment. That's the first thing. So, alignment is what side the letters are going to uh, stack up one on top of the other. And it's fairly simple. You have left, right, and center. And as it happens, left alignment is very easy because We start all our statements from the left. Right and center can be a bit of a problem. But in that case, we have done this exercise before where you have the freedom to write the statement in rough first before you start writing the final version. So you can also first make the alignment. So you could do something like this. Dig. I could practice the alignment here, the well. Or even if I'm making this left align before you are thirsty. Oh. And in this case, if I just identify where is the middle of each section or each line, so you have this, this, just visually, I know how to position what letter where according to the center of the page. But we are also changing the sizes of the letters. These are all the same size. So you have to work around all of this. So this brings me to the second principle to remember is size and proportion. So one simple rule is keep a certain proportion between the biggest word and the smallest word or the smallest letter size, and keep the proportion about 1:3, especially in a small format like that. That means that if your smallest letter is 1, the biggest letter should be no more than 3 times bigger than the smallest letter. If you make it too small, the proportion is so wildly varied that the small letters will just lose their significance completely. So, smallest to largest. And again, if the word becomes too large, you won't even see it. So let's try making this statement again where I'm going to play around with the size. And you could try the same. Make one word really big and one word very small. So this is my 3 times size. 1, 2, and 3. This word is about 3 times or even less than 3 times. The letter W and R are less than 3 times my before. Before is the smallest word. Now here this is only a tagline, the word Chinese proverb. And it is still visible because I'm going by the size of the capital letter. But suppose, let's just turn this around and I will make some words really big. So let's take the word dig, for example, and make it really big. Then you can write the well, which is also pretty big. And now deliberately we will write the word before you are, very small, and because there is space there, and then you can write Chinese. And in this one, I want you to try writing proverb from the right hand side. B R E V O R P. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, now can you see how the balances are working or not working? Even without judgment, I don't want you to just agree with me, because it could be that this communicates something different. Every little blank space or alignment, misalignment is supposed to create a certain uh, I don't know what I would say. It is meant to stand for something.
Mm.
So it could be that the words "before you are thirsty" are written small because they want you to be tricked, and you should just be digging a well. And then when you see Chinese proverb, it almost seems like, of course, Chinese are so industrious because they focus more on digging of the well. Whether or not they're thirsty is not important, and you could read it like that. Here you could read it with balance. But what I'm trying to say is that there may not be just one way to write a statement, and there may not be a statement that is the only way, um, or that's the only way it is going to look good. Now, the next thing also is within or just after size and proportion, there is a hierarchy for letters. And this hierarchy is established in the following manner. You have size, color, maybe texture or pattern, and effects. So all of that falls under this category. Texture, shadows, uh, maybe some embellishment, all of that. So the hierarchy of use of letters relates to how to give certain words importance, and why you should do that. So, this has something to do with how we read sentences, how we read, in fact, at all, anything. Very, very few people and usually only people who are beginning to read or people who are unfamiliar with the language will read every word of a sentence, because after you become comfortable with the language, you can skip words. Most people will just scan the statement and they know what is spoken about, and in fact, they might remember, they might grasp the tense, the grammar, all of that with just a mere glance, because they know the brain now has learned where to pause on and what to pick up. So when we come across posters or newspaper advertisements or quotes like that, very rarely does anyone read the whole line, and you'll often find that there are some tricky posters where they will repeat a word just to check if you are like scanning kind of a reader or you actually read every word. You cannot spot the double word, and you are reading it, it's right in front of you, but until it is shown to you, you do not see it at all. I'll try and find one sample of that. So, what you need to know is, like we discussed earlier, you have to find the words which you want to give more impact to. And then you have to decide how much impact and what kind of impact you want. So, if you are making a statement about, say, frugality or something, or living off of very little, then you can't make your letters look very opulent. That would be quite oxymoronic. But that is more to do with appropriateness. Sometimes just that itself can make a statement. So I keep coming time and again to saying these are the general guidelines, but they may not be the rules. You don't have to say, I am going to do only this because this must be a rule. Feel free to play around with this. Okay, now the other way the eye reads also is, we are all our scripts that we are familiar with are from left to right. So we also scan through blank space on which letters and pictures are put together in this manner. So you start from the top left, actually you start from the center, then your eye goes to the top left, then goes around the border, comes down, and then to the bottom right. Bottom left, sorry. So top left, go around and come to the bottom left. That is why on the top left you will find stuff like brand new, free, 50% off, and on the bottom left you will find conditions apply, only starting from wherever. So all the small print is in the last place your eye goes to. So a novice, a designer might put the conditions on top, and that would be a complete failed campaign. So once you know this, then you say, okay, wait a minute, I have been putting more force on the last word, and that could land because everything is moving from top to bottom. So sooner or later they're going to read that word. But how about if I grab attention using something in the center and then force them to read the whole statement word by word? That is the whole purpose behind this. And then the other thing also is not just the reading of it, but absorbing the meaning and retaining that graphic in your head. That is what you want with all of this. As a
So,
statement, yeah.
I just want to say one thing. When we teach children to read, the mechanics of reading also, so when you are doing activities to prepare them for reading, one of the things we do is picture talk, where you have a picture, say, of a zoo or a park or something. And when we are discussing, we follow the same format. Like you talk about what is on the top left corner, and then you proceed towards the right and then slowly come down. So it's from left to right and up to down. And you do that consciously to give them the mechanics of reading, because that is how you're going to read. So you're
No,
basically training them to to get their eyes to follow a certain pattern, which they will later use when they are reading.
that is so interesting.
So it's not just like, look at the most interesting thing in the picture and talk about, no, that's not how it is.
And which
So
is
maybe
usually
you,
how toddlers behave. Like if you give them a book,
yeah,
they like the most attractive thing in the book and they do not follow this rule.
Yeah.
They
So you need to
understand.
train them. Yeah,
Yes.
you have to train them before actually reading to how to get
Yes.
into the mechanics of reading. So, yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. So now that you know these, we are going to now write another quote. I'll give you another quote. So let's see how many things we can put in practice.
But these glasses are so cool. It is
I look
remind.
like I feel I look like especially when I do this. It looks like
But they're very useful, huh? They're
strange.
very
Yeah.
Some lab, some scientist has come
Yeah.
and something is
I
gonna.
sometimes feel like I'm like one of those diamond cutters or something.
Yeah. But they're
Like,
very handy. They're very handy. I got
yeah.
a pair for my mom and I tried it out for fun. I didn't want to give it to her after that.
Yeah, it works very well. And all this jugaad because my regular glasses are broken. I just have to get them
Ah.
fixed. There we are. Okay. Okay, another small statement. Okay. Do you want to try this? I'll wait for 5 minutes and then I will start. I'm just going to keep the video and audio off. My dad is calling, so I'm just going to check on him.
Sorry, what was the quote? I forgot to write it.
If you cannot decide, the answer is no.
Okay.
Okay. What chore are you doing? Hmm. Ask us.
Okay, sorry, Ritika, you needed this sentence again? Got it? Okay. This is the reason why I often in class also I insist on everyone paying attention to your composition. And of course, I know half the time it's not possible for everybody to compose on the fly. But if you keep a few things in mind, like always find a way to align an object to a previous object, put text in certain way that it aligns to the top or the middle or the bottom, then even your test pages or your rough pages will always look good. But more importantly, your eye will start um, judging distances much better than uh, if you just randomly put stuff. It's not very difficult, it just takes a little amount of practice. Okay, now I didn't mention this before, but I hope you know that you can also add a few illustrative elements.
Aditi, look at
Yes.
that.
Did you? One second.
Did you see it?
Okay, yes, take it higher, even higher. Just put it. Very nice. Very nice. Good. Now, Alka, in your case,
Ah,
make another one where you imply the well. Don't paint the well
okay. Yeah,
because that's too direct and it takes a
yeah.
lot of space. So find a way to represent the well way or
Without,
another without
yeah,
actually showing the actual well itself.
okay.
Okay, so here's one option.
Aditi, here's what I did. Can you see?
Okay, let's see. Nice. Very interesting. Interesting composition.
Thank you.
Could you put it up on the group? How about the others? How are your compositions looking? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, nice. Susan's very good. Smriti's is very nice. The word the answer is, those can change, Smriti, because there's so much space between the two. So that's why you can choose whether or not you want to use a running hand, and the ascend or the capitals don't have to be so large. So they can be slightly smaller as well. Okay, good. All right, let me look for another quote, and this time let's try using some kind of broad edge pen, or at least a Gothic script, and I'll help you write that. So there's one thing that I love to, or lots of fun I can have with. And these are called paraprostokian statements. So this is a statement which will have a regular start, but it ends very, very funny. So something like, I was just reading all of them, they give me such a good chuckle first thing in the morning. So one statement that says there are three kinds of people in the world: those who can count, and those who cannot. That's it. And it took me a while. I said, what do you mean? Where is the third? And then I was like, of course. So all statements are like that. Like, where there's a will, I want my name in it. That's a cute one. So you take something that's familiar and you just change the end and make it humorous. And this is a free for all. If you know of two phrase quotes, just take something and just turn it around. Like I often say, some days are good, some days are better. You don't have to put in some days are good and some days are bad. The choice is yours. So you can have something like, I'm just going to read out a few. They're so funny. This typical Groucho Marx. I've had a perfectly wonderful evening, but this was not it. I'm going to send you this link, and maybe you can choose something from here that we can make. Oh, where is our batch?
I had this printed on my mom's shirt, you know. It says, if my mother says no, ask my grandmother.
Nice one. It's a cute one. Yeah, so then um, okay, this is really cute. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. This is from the office. These is later in the list. There are statements from movies and TV shows.
Look at this one. Can you read it?
Oh, wait a minute. When God made man, she was only joking. That's a great one. I love it.
I was carrying this in the mall once, and a young chap stopped me and he said, "I really like what's in your bag. What's written on your bag." And I was so happy it was the guy who said it.
Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so what should we do? Should we take Alka's bag coat and do it? I think it's really cute. Or which one is this?
Since it's the month of Women's Day, let's do that.
Oh yeah, why not? Let's do that. So how does the quote go? When God created man, she was only joking, correct? Okay, done. Let's make this one.
I'll put it on the group that everyone can.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Okay, now for this, if we want to use, say, a Gothic script, and it would make sense because we have something related to the idea of a god, and many Gothic script books or manuscripts written with using the Gothic script were tended to be religious documents. So it might be nice to at least write the word God in a Gothic script, and it might be really humorous if you write God in without a capital G, because you guys don't know how to make a capital G, and I refuse to teach you that just for today. So make it even more funny. But at least we'll give them the status of a different letter. And then you could write the same, use the same script to write the word she as well. So God and she are tied together by font, and you will make that connection without even having to really um, explain the quote to those who might not even get it. So before you write, please practice the writing. And yes, when you are writing these quotes, you must also make the scale. So here we have an opportunity to go over all the principles of Gothic writing so that when you are doing it, you don't take any shortcuts. This is how I would normally do it. I have three different pens. One is a 0.2, 0.3, and a 0.1. And I want to be able to see how the letters look in all these sizes. So I will make a scale with one. This is too tiny, so I'm not even going to bother. But I have checked it out on paper. Then with two. Two looks pretty nice. And also I get to test the color. And three. Now make those horizontal lines. You can make them freehand also. You don't have to use a scale. I just happen to have a scale handy, so I'm using that. And in the beginning, it always helps to make the entire scale. So ascender, descender, everything. So this is how we write the letters. Start the G from the middle. You can go back to the previous page to study that exemplar, or I think have I shared this with you? And for the S, so once you know the size, then you can write much better as well. All the sizes then can be modulated, designed according to the size of your pen. So while I say do this daily for 10-15 minutes and all, there are some times you might need a little more time, a little more involvement. So in this case, now we feel the need to make some lines to write the word God, say. And I can write when over here. I can write God over here. So when God. How am I going to write created man? Probably just in Roman. And then I could write she over here. So created man can come here. She can come here. So you have God and she was only joking. So using lines to create a little bit of some kind of composition here does make sense. And since I have written these letters once, I am just improvising here without making a scale or anything. Now, when combining letters, you must make sure that you don't overdo the decorative elements, because the statements need to make an impact, right? So, if everything is very decorative, you will not be able to draw attention to any one word. See? So you need to balance out the aesthetic of all the words, all the letter forms. Now, with something that is so distinct, the Gothic script is so distinct. If you add a running hand and cursive or all sorts of um, flourishes, then you might not make the impact as briefly or as efficiently as you could have, right? My lines are teed up. I don't know why. So here, the idea of less is more really works. If you feel dissatisfied and you feel could have done more, make another one. Don't do everything on the same one. Okay, now there's going to be a little bit of noise, so I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. So I have these old paper bags, some white, some brown, all really wrinkled, and because they're very noisy. So either you can cut these up and keep them with you in advance, so that this becomes like one little notepad that you've made with rough sheets. And whenever you feel inspired, you can just write on the brown paper itself or any of these bags. The other thing you can do, if sometimes you don't want to tear up a perfectly good paper, is to make those accordion books like we had done in the past. So, okay, this is good. Sometimes if these are items that you just find randomly, literally trash, you can do so much. And each item that you salvage will potentially give you ideas about what you can do with it. So this is quite a large paper actually. It's maybe almost like an A2 size paper. So cutting this up into small squares might just seem really sad. So we can just clean up the edges and create an entire collage, or even something like this. I'll show you. We have made these in the past, I think, those infinity books that fold into each other. I'll show you. And this is a fairly large size. So you fold the paper vertically and horizontally in half. And then this is my half line, and I will fold it inside as well from both sides. Because there are so many folds, I'm just going to mark a pencil line here. And then you cut through the center. So you cut along this center line just till the first intersection, not the entire way. And then you fold it. I'm going to show you on a regular paper also, if you don't remember how we've done this in the past. You fold the center. Folds onto itself. Oh my god, I couldn't make it more cryptic even if I wanted to. Do you not remember doing this?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember doing it.
Yeah,
it's
thank
there.
you.
In fact, I think you've done it.
Because this paper is just not behaving like our regular paper. It's doing its own thing, so I have to manipulate it quite a bit. Yeah, so now this opens up like this, and it keeps opening up, and now that I've folded it, I can chop off the bottom. Which also, by the way, does not have to be a straight line. It can be like a wave. So it opens up with some character. And now we can use these to write the quotes on. And since this paper, in my case, the paper does not have a coating on the inside. So we can also use watercolor to write something here. And just maybe illustrate the whole thing. Want to make another quote? Okay. Let's see what we have. I like this one. This might give us some opportunity for illustration also. Pray like you didn't study, study like you didn't pray. It's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna keep this up here and let's see what I can do. Now we have a question with this one. Both of them have the same uh, statement in between, like you didn't. So pray like you didn't study, study like you didn't pray. So here we have the opportunity to probably just write like you didn't and hope that the person will read it and get it. And this could also uh, work if we had two different colors. So you have pray like you didn't study, study like you didn't pray. This should work. I like that. It's almost even creating like a crucifix. Isn't that so cute? Just by how the words are written. And there's pray and there's so much of context with it. Sometimes these things just happen without you planning it. That's the best. Okay, so this is what you can do through the week. Get yourself some nice colorful post-its and start writing these statements. And next month in April, I will be giving you a statement every day, just like how we did today. So you'll be able, at least you will have practice. And during that time, of course, you can look for more different types of scripts, practice those scripts, write whatever. The point is that we have to keep writing, find a way to keep writing. And next Saturday is going to be an extra Saturday this month. So, like once in a while, either somebody bunks or I don't have class. So, this extra week helps us to make up for all of those. I think in a year we have 2 or 3 extra weeks. Some batches are lucky. Last year, the Tuesday batch consistently had a lot of extra Tuesdays. I think that's going to be your fate this year. So, I had a couple of thoughts of what I would like to do, and here's another thought. Now, I'm trying to get more people to join the classes. There's a lot of positive feedback from all of you. So, we can try, if you know of anyone who would like to join just next week's class. I was thinking we could do something like a simple exercise in drop capitals. So those are very fun, decorative. They can be done at any level. You don't need to be very good at art. I've done this even with kids as young as 5 years old, and it's quite enjoyable. So I'm going to ask each of you to invite at least one more person to join next Saturday's class. It will be free. You can share material with them. You can ask them to join you at your place or just send them the link so that they can join on their own. But try and get one more person to do it. And then encourage that person to join the envelope exchange or whatever. It's not really meant only for our class students. This is just a fun way of people to start interacting with art. And the class is meant for whoever then once in a while feels, okay, I want to learn a little bit more. They can dip into the class. It's like a flowing river. We are constantly doing these activities in class, so they can learn a little, and more important is to practice what you learn. Okay, so do find out, and just so that we keep this organized, if you can send me the names of the people that you are inviting or you've sent the link to, then I can just keep that in mind. We shouldn't, as much as I would love to have 200 people in one batch, that's never going to happen. But still, it just helps to keep me prepared. Okay. So try to get at least one person. It should be fun. And we are going to do drop caps. I will be sharing a little bit of information about this so you can share it with them. so they know what to expect. Okay. All right. So that's it for today. Are there any questions?